Dungeon26 is inspired by the Dungeon23 concept by Sean McCoy. The idea is to create one room of a dungeon a day for 1 year, culminating in a 12-level megadungeon with 365 rooms. I'm running off the design inspo from Paradiso. Although I am working in quarter-year sections, this is the second half of the first quarter. Hello, I'm Nina, and this is Morium, my Dungeon26 world. Before the drought-ridden drylands, there was the Alosian Glade, a lush and thriving ecosystem that has now been broken open and massive ruptures eroded the land. The earth from below sprung up and covered the glade, swallowing all that was green and created a harsh, wind-swept canyon land. The Cedronis who dwelled there knew the land they once loved had sunken underground. They believed they could reach it if they traveled low enough. And here we start the journey at the entrance. Not many people frequent this path anymore. The Cedronis were driven back to the surface by a mysterious and terrible creature. Not much is spoken of that creature or why they stopped building. All that is mentioned is, well, nothing. The pathway looks as though time had stopped. There's no movement, only our travelers and the path that winds deeper into the darkness. This dungeon map is split into 4 different sections. There is the upper cavern dwellings of the Cedronis, with the intention to travel and develop further into the cavern, and to connect back with the village they had lost when the blight cracked open the land and brought it falling deep below the earth. It consists mainly of housing for the builders and explorers. There is the light room. There are lighting systems that go a fair bit into the cavern, and to see if it would work for our travelers or if they even think it's a good idea to turn them on, they can here. There are also lanterns with lighting stations in order to go further into the caverns. The electrician has also found out there is a flower that glows bright and can be used as a lantern as well, and might last longer than lanterns, but also could attract unwanted creatures. There is a food storage and kitchen here too. You can cook food and prepare materials that might help you in the journey. There could be a little creature in here as well. A mimic maybe? A protective bug that lives inside the flower? There are sleeping areas that are connected to a tiny infirmary too. There are bandages and tape there. There are exits to the hallway, and across the way is a small storage space. There should be keys here to open up areas that adventurers might want to access. Further down is the map room. It's a lore room, a place to tell a story about what's deep in the cavern. Next to it is the weaver's room. It has some special fabrics that might help our travelers, or just to collect trinkets or those little hard candies that look like strawberries. Right next to the weaver's room is the passage that goes deeper into the caves. Here you see the supports that hold up the developed part of the upper cavern dwelling. Long columns that bend into smooth arches that bleed into darkness. There are scatterings of construction material as if there were people to arrive to finish the ornate work, but dust has covered everything and no one is coming back. However, there is the feeling like you are not alone. The Shadow Sneak, driven insane, as the only one to remember who drove the Cedronis back up into the harsh desert environment, is lost within the columns that hold up the underground dwelling. There is a different entrance into the caves with similar supports, and if the travelers go this way, they can be introduced to the lizard longlegs. Just a glimpse though, like they hear a strange skittering sound further in the darkness. Maybe a flash of light cast upon the cave walls reveals a tail that whips out of the brightness and back into the dark. I wanted to present an alternative route, and that is what sprouted the Marauders path. The travelers can find this path under a rug in the lighthouse storage room. You drop down into a rough tunnel-like pathway that is very dark. There are creepy-crawly creatures, and further down there is a hidden room that holds an artist's den. There's paper there, paintings, and a place to tell a story about the Citadel and the people who work towards saving the land and humanity by connecting and reinforcing communications between villages and cities throughout Morium. There are two paths that can be taken that will merge either into the edges of the column supports area or directly into the untouched cave system. And this is where we enter the Cavern System and where the Alosian Glade had fallen to. Looking back at this dungeon system, I would have liked to have more cavern bits, but it transitions quite quickly into the Alosian Glade, and that might be something I will change in the future. But for now, there are plenty of underground forest elements within that can be so beautiful and memorable. Here is where the Marauders enter into, right in the nest of the lizard longlegs. Fend, flee, fight, befriend. The lizard longlegs has adapted to cave life with its distinctly spindly limbs. They like moving along walls and blending into the shadows. These lanky legs also help it traverse the boulders and tall grasses that have grown throughout the caves over the decades. Their barbed scales can inflict necrotic wounds, and their bite is equally dangerous, capable of causing paralysis. There are structures that have remained almost intact, and there are mutated sheep. These animals have such a strong bond with the Cedronis and have started growing mushrooms in their wool, and might have a set of carnivorous teeth hidden in there too. Some strange amalgamation of bitterness for having fallen so far from the surface and survival have turned them into terribly cranky creatures. Past the mutated flock of sheep lays a broken down house in a field of yellow flowers. There's smoke coming out of the chimney. Someone is inside. A faint scent of spices makes its way from the house to you, and you hear off in the distance the sound of a kitchen in full motion of making. There is an old woman living there, someone that survived the fall of the Alosian Glade and remains within her homestead and among the transformed landscape. She has changed too. She's learned much in her time here and how the world works below the sky of stone. Magic is just a ritual. It's an understanding of the elements and the world we inhabit and what is needed to survive. A candle lit, a cauldron simmering, herbs to heal, a knife to cut, to sacrifice. An altar that had fallen is being claimed by the moss. It's the altar of the god of wind, a typical place of rest and worship, but this statue seems quite neglected, save for the soft patch of moss that surrounds it. There is a tiny wisp of wind that gently bobs a bright blue flower to and fro amid the blades of grass and moss. There is a faint song being sung, something that calls you to move closer to the fallen statue. There is an entity there, a lost spirit that brings people to the flower. To take in the sweet smell of it would cause great harm. The spirit will take in any curious living creature into its embrace and bring it down into the soil. The moss must be nourished. The moss can chain spirits to it to bring in new prey to keep it well fed. Once fed enough, it can produce spores to spread out further into the world. After passing the spiritual parasite that is the moss, there is a waterfall and a cliff that can be traversed quite easily. This is a little moment of respite after all that has transpired. This is also the way out of the caverns, and we begin to transition from the underground and into the Sentinel Forest. Though not long after resting do we come across a woman with a bow, a huntress. I haven't quite figured out what I want her to be, but she's a character I want to create because of the 20th of March was the equinox, and I wanted an ally that the travelers can call upon to help them along their way. Diana is the goddess of the hunt, and on this equinox this time, I was reminded of taking aim and thinking of the future. Maybe this is a moment for travelers to get rid of equipment too, with the invocation of letting go of things that no longer serve them. Something like that. Moving on to the Frogman. This massive creature lives in a little crevasse and can swim to parts of the forest that would otherwise be difficult to get to. The creature is massive and has, over time, grown a patch of grass on his back that is flat and big enough to get on and ride. There is a nest of a special bird over here that the frogman can take you to, and you can explore elements like the feathers or bird spit or eggs, things that can make good food. Still haven't figured out that part yet. So to get to ride on the frogman, the travelers have to go get an herb that grows from a grave in this graveyard and feed it to the frog to tame him. Then, when that is done, he can help you with your short journey. There is a giant skeleton over here, a fallen creature decomposing in peace. I am realizing that at the end of weeks, I'm quite stuck on creative ideas and lore. Tell me in the comments what the story of this guy is, and I can try to incorporate it or make something inspired by it. The graveyard is extended into this section as well, and here it looks like the people buried have found their way up and out of their graves. Suspicious, isn't it? They have made their way to this cluster of rocks at the side of a cliff. The travelers must battle them. Yes, a simple undead skeleton group, and I wanted to show that the Huntress from before can arrive here and help them if needed. The skeletons drop things like rings and belts and shoes. I wrote a note while sketching this that reads, "Human dead mutation." So I guess I will want to create something interesting with that little tidbit I gave myself weeks ago. 8th of March is International Women's Day, so I naturally want to include a woman on this day. She is a story room, basically. Someone who can shed light on specific situations that can help our travelers gain insight, and behind her is an entrance back into the cavern hidden behind bushes. It's the entrance used by the Marauders, and it leads directly into the artist's den. The travelers can go back down into the dungeon and explore if they didn't go that way, or they can come back up. There could be reasons why they want to wander the caves again, or maybe not. There might be things there that were not there before, a new circulation of creatures that are attracted to the dead bodies left in the wake of the travelers, or not. Here is the exit of this dungeon section, and will lead into the second half of the second quarter. And the last little room is a giant fig tree that can bless or curse a traveler. It can bring insight or warnings. If it bleeds red from the bark, it means that nature is not happy with what has transpired within the caverns and knows what mischief the travelers have done. It can also share its fruit that can bless a magical being with more power or new abilities. It can drop a knife that it had tangled within its branches, and the knife can have an ability to not only protect but can cut through stone easily. The tree can also stretch out its branches and coax the travelers into its leaves, only to smother them into a year-long sleep. Who knows? That tree has a mind of its own. So that was the second half of the first quarter finished. There's more work to be done, and I'm starting to see this project as a rough draft of how I would like my dungeon to be. This is, after all, the first time I have ever done this, so it's a big lesson learned each day, and I'm still motivated to continue on and make something that hopefully many people will enjoy. I wanted to say that 2 people have recently sent a donation to my Ko-fi account. I want to take the time and give a very, very heartfelt thank you to them. There is something magical about a person who, unprompted, will give money to a channel or person whose content they enjoy, and since I am invested in making this a serious source of financial support, I am so grateful for that. So thank you. Thank you a lot. I am inspired to create a membership that people who are able to support can help support this channel, and awesome projects can be had for all. So hopefully, if my channel continues to grow, the adventures will get bigger and better. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you so much too. And with that, I will say like and subscribe, comment if you are still here, and I will see you in the next video.